Okay, back to our topic about blood composition. So we are now in part 2. So let's continue about the platelets. So as I mentioned in my first video that platelets is a cell fragments that help to form blood clotting. So when we have cuts and wounds, platelets is in action, and then the platelets has its helper, which is called the fibrin. Fibrin weaves a net of tiny fibers across the cut. So if we try to look at example of wounds or cuts, and then fibrin is in action, it is weaving a fibrous net. So it looks like this one. So this fibrous net helps to trap the red blood cell to flow in the wounds. So this is very helpful because if we without the fibrins, red blood cells and other blood components start to flow or bleeding will not stop. That's why fibrin is very important in our body. Okay, so let's try to answer this one. What do you think happened to the number of white blood cells? Remember, white blood cell is like a soldier in our blood vessels. It fights the diseases. It is a fighter. It's a soldier inside our body. So here, what do you think happened to the numbers of white blood cells in the body when a person is fighting an infection? So when you have infection, so what will happen? The numbers would increase because many white blood cells would be needed to fight an infection. Example, if you have a big wounds, you need a lot of white blood cells to fight back the bacteria, to fight back some invaders to go inside the body. Okay, so the one responsible for that one is white blood cells because it fight back the diseases. Now, let's continue this one. This is in your book. So white blood cells, what is the function of that one? Some of these cells alert the body to fight back the diseases. Some produces chemicals to fight invaders such as germs. It also kills the invaders. At the same time, white blood cells is produced in our bone marrow, particularly in yellow bone marrow. So let's try to answer number 1A. Let's define what is plasma. Plasma, it is the liquid part of our blood. And then letter B, make a generalization. Why is it important for a person's blood to produce a fibrin? As I mentioned, fibrin is the helper of platelets to form blood clotting or to form blood clots and to stop the bleeding. Next is what do we know about the blood now? We know about the composition of the blood, which are red and white blood cells, plasma, and then the platelets. Let's make some short summary about our discussion. So the 4 components of our blood are plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Plasma, the work of plasma particularly is to carries the materials such as glucose, fats, vitamins, and minerals. So that is the nutrients that we take from the food that we partake. It also carries away carbon dioxide. Next is red blood cells. It captures the oxygen and carry it to our entire body. And then white blood cells is responsible for fighting diseases. And then platelet is responsible for blood clotting to stop bleeding. So these are the 4 components. And red blood cells and white blood cells is produced in our bone marrows. So if you're bored and then if you want to do blood model, you could do it using water bottle, empty water bottle, different colors of beads. Okay, so the water bottle will represent, okay, I will use an illustration here. The water bottle will represent uh, the blood vessel. Okay, and then the white here will represent the white blood cell. And then the red here, the red beads, okay, the red beads will represent the, of course, red blood cell. And then the small beads here will represent the platelets. So you have white beads here, small white beads, so it will represent the platelets. Okay, and then the water will represent the plasma. Remember, plasma is the liquid component of the blood. So I will write here the water. Platelets will be the small white beads. Okay, and then this one, it will be the big rounded white beads, and then it will be the red beads. Sorry, this will be the bottle. And then this one, lastly, will be the red beads. Okay, so this is the blood model. So I'm not requiring you to do it, but if you're bored, you could do it. And remember that our blood has 4 components. Okay, so I hope you enjoy our discussion. And then if you have some question, you could send it via Coursera or in my WhatsApp privately. Thank you for listening, girls.